welcome to Piers Morgan Uncensored. Today, Harry and Meghan torch what little was left of their relationship with the royal family.
The seemingly innocent Disneyland trip. A simple family day out, right? Wrong. This wasn't just a wholesome outing. It was a desperate, calculated maneuver by Harry and Meghan that backfired spectacularly, exposing the deepest cracks in their carefully constructed brand. This stunt wasn't just cringeworthy, it was the final straw, leaving everyone from the public to Prince William seeing through the carefully curated illusion. The Sussexes, once hailed as modernizing figures, found themselves embroiled in a media firestorm, their carefully constructed narrative of victimhood dissolving under the harsh glare of public scrutiny. This one event, seemingly minor, became a flashpoint, crystallizing years of simmering resentment and disbelief into outright derision. What happened next was a public relations disaster of their own making. Photos emerged from Disneyland. Faces blurred, expressions micromanaged, camera angles optimized for candid shots, all while conveniently feeding headlines about the Sussexes' family values. The couple who famously sued media outlets for breaching their privacy now appeared to orchestrate these PR outings with military precision, showcasing Archie and Lilibet as mere props. The immediate public reaction was merciless mockery. Why take your children to one of the most photographed places on Earth if privacy is your sacred cow? The glaring contradiction was too obvious to ignore, and no one called it out louder and sharper than Piers Morgan. It was a spectacle of self-sabotage, a masterclass in how to alienate both your supporters and your critics simultaneously. Morgan's single savage post ripped the facade wide open. He tweeted, "Celebrities that constantly post pics of their kids to promote their parenting credentials but block their faces out like this to pretend they care about their privacy make me chuckle. We see you." It hit like a bomb. The comment didn't name Harry and Meghan, but it didn't need to. Everyone knew. The public knew, the media knew, even Hollywood insiders couldn't help but laugh. And what's more, he was right. Piers Morgan, often painted as their arch-nemesis, merely held up a mirror to their stark inconsistencies. His blunt honesty cut through the carefully cultivated victim narrative, sparking a wildfire of agreement across social media platforms and traditional news outlets alike. Now, in classic Sussex fashion, the backlash isn't being addressed with reflection. It's being threatened with litigation, yet again. Morgan, however, remains immune to their guilt-tripping and legal bluster. He's already survived Meghan's past attempts to silence him, leading to his dramatic exit from Good Morning Britain, and unlike others in the media, he refuses to bow to their truth narrative. Their legal threats have become a blunt instrument used against anyone who dares critique their public behavior, whether it's suing tabloids, suing the Home Office, or trying to gag journalists. They have made it clear free speech applies only when they are holding the mic, but this time they might be punching above their weight. Morgan has the platform, the receipts, and increasingly, the public support. This isn't the first time the Sussexes have used their children's imagery for brand enhancement. Meghan referenced them repeatedly in her Netflix series, and Harry's memoir, Spare, is peppered with anecdotes involving them. Yet, when it comes to simple photo clarity, they suddenly become guardians of extreme privacy. It's a carefully curated illusion, parenting for the cameras, privacy for the lawsuits. It was supposed to soften their image, to portray them as relatable, loving parents, but it only amplified the perception of their hypocrisy. This pattern of selective privacy isn't just inconsistent, it's a calculated manipulation aimed at garnering sympathy while maintaining control over their public narrative, always on their terms. The constant push and pull between seeking global attention and demanding absolute privacy has become a hallmark of their post-royal careers. They crave the spotlight, the massive book deals, the Silicon Valley startups, the preaching videos about well-being, the podcasts, the speeches, and the major network interviews. Yet, when any of this attention turns critical, they retreat behind a wall of legal threats and accusations of harassment. This creates a whiplash effect for the audience, fostering distrust and cynicism. The public simply cannot reconcile the image of a couple desperate for solitude with a couple who consistently put themselves at the center of media storms, even when those storms involve their own children. And let's not forget the struggling empire behind the scenes. Meghan Markle's much-hyped podcast, Confessions of a Female Founder, is quietly foundering. Early data reveals abysmal engagement, especially for a launch backed by the full force of her new brand, American Riviera. Orchard. Insiders believe the Disneyland trip was orchestrated, in part, to draw attention back to her fledgling ventures. But that strategy backfired spectacularly. Rather than boosting interest, the PR stunt turned public scrutiny into ridicule. Meghan was once again exposed as a performer, not a genuine voice, and the attempted brand crossover from royal rebel to California entrepreneur just didn't land. With their media projects collapsing one by one, Harry and Meghan appear to be desperately clinging to the only thing they have left: their children's imagery. The quiet struggles of Meghan's entrepreneurial ventures paint a stark picture, contrasting sharply with the opulent narrative they often project. The anticipation surrounding American Riviera Orchard, initially fueled by cryptic social media posts and carefully leaked snippets, has largely fizzled into lukewarm public interest. A simple jar of jam released with much fanfare became more a symbol of overblown ambition than a successful product launch. This lack of genuine public enthusiasm for their self-generated content suggests a deeper issue. The audience is simply not buying into the meticulously crafted brand Sussex when it's not directly tied to the drama and intrigue of the royal family. They need the royal connection to stay relevant, yet they are actively burning those bridges. Back in the UK, palace insiders confirm King Charles was deeply embarrassed by the Disneyland spectacle, especially as it came just days before Trooping the Colour and other key royal engagements. High-level courtiers believe Harry and Meghan's latest stunt was timed deliberately to pull attention away from the royal calendar. Worse, it exploited the monarchy's brand, using Lilibet's royal name and birthday to generate buzz, all while slamming the institution in the media and courts. Imagine Charles mourning his mother's legacy, seeing his granddaughter's royal name used for a Disney Day PR splash, complete with paparazzi and blurred faces for effect. One palace source reportedly told the Daily Mail, "The king sees this behavior as infantile, self-serving, and increasingly divorced from reality." At this point, King Charles isn't just offended. He's reportedly considering what legal and institutional mechanisms exist to finally sever ties, including stripping the Sussex children of their HRH status. The timing of the Disneyland stunt was particularly egregious. Trooping the Colour, a centuries-old tradition celebrating the monarch's birthday, is a cornerstone of the royal calendar, drawing global attention to the stability and continuity of the crown. For Harry and Meghan to deliberately orchestrate a highly visible yet hypocritical event involving a royal child's birthday, just days before such a significant national event, speaks volumes about their priorities. It wasn't just a misstep. It felt like a calculated diversion, a deliberate attempt to overshadow the very institution from which they derive their lingering status. This perceived disrespect has solidified the palace's resolve to finally draw a firm line in the sand. The very name Lilibet Diana, a poignant homage to two beloved royal figures, was reportedly used without proper permission from the late Queen Elizabeth II, a claim later debunked by Buckingham Palace in a public correction. Now, seeing that revered name used as a hook for a Disney photo shoot, complete with blurred faces for a supposed desire for privacy, while simultaneously lambasting the institution, is seen as the ultimate insult. For King Charles, it's not just about a photo op. It's about the legacy of his mother and the future of the monarchy, which Harry and Meghan seem intent on chipping away at, one staged event at a time. The public, especially in Britain, views this as a profound betrayal. The final, devastating truth bomb came from within royal walls. Sources close to Prince William are finally letting slip what many suspected all along. Meghan Markle had a hidden agenda from the very beginning. According to insiders who spoke with veteran royal correspondents, William's frustration has reached a boiling point. For years, he bit his tongue, hoping time would mend their rift. But now, behind palace doors, William has reportedly said, Meghan never wanted to be part of the family. She wanted to use the family. The implication is chilling. Everything from the whirlwind royal romance to the Oprah sit-down, from the Netflix docuseries to the Archetypes podcast, was part of a long-term branding strategy. Meghan allegedly entered the royal household as a disruptor, not a team player. She craved the global spotlight, but rejected the centuries-old duty that came with it. William, ever the cautious heir, reportedly warned Harry before the wedding. Now, watching the Disney stunts and blurred child PR optics from across the Atlantic, he's had enough. This truth validates what critics like Piers Morgan have been saying for years. Meghan's royal departure wasn't about survival, it was about leverage. This alleged quote from Prince William, if true, sends shockwaves through the entire narrative built by the Sussexes. It suggests a calculated strategy from day one, not a fairy tale romance that soured due to an unfeeling institution. It implies that every perceived slight, every accusation of racism or bigotry was merely a tool in a larger game to gain maximum leverage and commercial opportunities. The very foundation of their victim story crumbles under the weight of this accusation, reframing their entire journey through a much more cynical lens. The warnings from William to Harry before the wedding, often hinted at but rarely detailed, now gain a chilling new context. Was William attempting to protect his brother from what he saw as a transactional relationship? Did he foresee the inevitable clash between Meghan's ambition and the strictures of royal life? These questions linger, painting a picture of a concerned sibling whose advice was tragically ignored, leading directly to the dramatic fallout we witness today. The rift between the brothers, once a source of public sympathy, now appears to be rooted in a fundamental betrayal of trust and conflicting visions for their respective lives and duties. Consider the sheer volume of media output generated by Harry and Meghan since their departure from royal duties. A $100 million Netflix deal, multi-million-dollar book deals, Spotify podcasts, high-profile interviews with Oprah Winfrey and James Corden. They claim to seek privacy, yet their every move appears designed to fuel more content, more headlines, more opportunities to tell their story, always on their terms. This insatiable appetite for exposure stands in stark contrast to their purported desire for a quiet life away from the public eye, further exposing the chasm between their words and their actions. It's a relentless media blitz that, ironically, has left them more exposed than ever before. The public, too, has evolved in its perception. Initial sympathy for the underdog royals has largely evaporated, replaced by a weary cynicism. Social media commentary, once divided, now overwhelmingly points to their inconsistencies. Eagle-eyed users on X, Instagram, and Reddit mercilessly mocked the Disneyland photos. Why take them to the most crowded place on Earth if you care about privacy? Just admit it, it's a photo op, not a family moment, read one common sentiment. People rightly pointed out that if privacy were truly paramount, countless private resorts, quiet estates, and discreet locations were available for a birthday celebration. But no, Disneyland on a weekend was chosen specifically for its visibility. This widespread public fatigue stems from a sense of being manipulated. The constant push and pull, the lawsuits followed by carefully staged public appearances, the claims of privacy followed by tell-all documentaries. It's a dizzying dance that has worn down even their most ardent supporters. The charm has worn off, the narrative has grown stale, and the public is simply tired of the charade. They are no longer seen as heroic rebels, but as entitled individuals who demand all the benefits of royal status without any of the inherent responsibilities or duties. What does it say about their current standing, when even their own fans struggle to defend their actions? The Sussex squad, once a vocal and fervent online presence, has visibly diminished in its ability to counter the growing chorus of criticism. This shift in public sentiment is critical. It suggests that the curated narrative they've worked so hard to build is crumbling not just under external pressure, but from an internal lack of authenticity that has finally become too glaring to ignore. And what about their children's future? Stripping Archie and Lilibet of their HRH status might seem extreme, but for the palace, it's a desperate measure to protect the integrity of the monarchy. If Harry and Meghan are intent on using their royal ties for commercial gain, while simultaneously attacking the institution, then severing those ties completely becomes a painful yet necessary step. It would be a stark declaration that the game is over, and the crown will no longer tolerate its brand being exploited. The implications for Harry are particularly severe. Having burned bridges with his family, alienated segments of the public, and struggling to forge a new identity separate from his royal lineage. Where does he go from here? His memoir, Spare, while a commercial success, cemented his image as a perpetually aggrieved prince, further isolating him from the very institution he seeks to both expose and, paradoxically, rely upon for his identity. He stands at a crossroads, having chosen a path that increasingly appears to lead to isolation rather than the freedom he so vociferously claimed to seek. The "once you're married, don't we see you?" quip from Piers Morgan, aimed at celebrities who parade their kids for image, then blur their faces, perfectly encapsulates the core of the issue. It's a performative parenting that rings hollow, a cynical ploy designed to tick boxes for public perception, rather than genuinely protect their children. This strategy, more than any other, has alienated the most crucial audience, the average parent who sees through the charade and recognizes the inherent contradiction. So what's left for Harry and Meghan when their most valuable asset, their royal connection, is finally severed and their carefully crafted narrative is in tatters? Their claims about valuing privacy have officially collapsed under the weight of their own actions. They sued the Mail on Sunday over a private letter only to later leak selective texts to Finding Freedom. They told Oprah they wanted to escape the limelight, but then launched a 6-part Netflix documentary complete with intimate home footage and never-before-seen images of Archie and Lilibet. The public is tired of the charade. Are they destined for a desperate, isolated existence, left with nothing but the echoes of a crumbling kingdom, having squandered their royal legacy for fleeting commercial gain? The ultimate irony may be that, in their relentless pursuit of freedom and financial independence, they have achieved neither, instead, trapping themselves in a cycle of grievance and public performance, forever chasing a narrative that the world has already stopped buying.